My dear, sorry, this kind of opening isn't really my style. It's been so long since I wrote a letter that I feel a bit formal. How have you been? Japan must be in the middle of the rainy season by now. Here, the sky is still absurdly high, and the sunlight is intense from morning till night. Since coming to Spain, I've realized that the weather isn't just about the climate, it can change a person's mood and way of life. Everyone here is so cheerful and open. Valencia has little rain, and the cobblestones and walls look bright. The dry morning breeze feels wonderful. And even though the sun is strong at noon, it's surprisingly cool in the shade. By evening, the colors of the city soften, and the terraces overflow with people, all laughing late into the night as if it's the most natural thing in the world. Let me give you a little update. I still can't shake off the feeling of living abroad, but I've finally started to settle into life here. There are plenty of annoying things like bureaucratic procedures and unfamiliar language. But I'm currently preparing to make this place my permanent home. I initially thought I'd return home quickly. But before I knew it, I started to envision a future living in this land. The people here are truly free. In a good way, they don't meddle in how others live. No matter how serious someone is, they take their breaks during the day. And they value time with family and friends just as much as work. No one gets irritated when shops are closed. And if an appointment runs a little late, they just laugh it off, saying, "Some days are like that." I was restless at first. But lately, I feel like I've become more easygoing. Beneath that laid-back attitude, there's a surprisingly strong core. Everyone seems to have a clear understanding of what they like, what they dislike, and how they want to live. They don't embellish it or hide it. In Reina Square, children play late into the night, the elderly chat on benches, and young people laugh loudly. When someone starts singing, everyone claps along. They don't put on airs, so there's no hesitation in enjoying life. That freshness was something I found intensely enviable. The food is interesting too. Even the way they use oil feels different from Japan. Here, they drench bread in olive oil, and somehow, it doesn't feel heavy. I thought I'd miss white rice more, but I find myself fully satisfied with paella. Also, dinner is served late. Not long ago, I couldn't wait until 10 at night for dinner, but now it feels completely normal. At the market, vibrant fruits and cured ham are on display, and both sellers and customers chat away. Thanks to that, it seems like I can manage even if my language isn't perfect. If I gesture and try to communicate, they smile and wait for me. It's the same in Japan, but I wonder why there's no rural-style prying or constraints here. It's so relaxed, like the wind flowing through an open window. Living each new day like this, I find myself thinking of you at unexpected moments. For instance, when I see kids kicking a soccer ball in the park, or when I catch a damp scent reminiscent of an approaching rainstorm, or when I stumble upon cheap, ramen-colored candies that remind me of a countryside candy shop. It's in those seemingly ordinary moments that memories of you suddenly resurface. Do you remember? When we were in elementary school, we got soaked trying to catch crayfish in that narrow stream behind the school. You insisted there had to be a big one. So I went along with you, but in the end, we only caught a tiny swamp crab. Yet you looked so proud as if you'd made a great discovery. And somehow, I felt a bit proud too. Then, there was that summer afternoon when we rode our bikes to the end station without going to anyone's house. The convenience store ice cream tasted incredibly good while our heads were foggy from the heat. Sitting on the stone steps of the shrine, we talked about what Pokemon we wanted to be in the future. And neither of us came up with a decent answer. It was all so trivial. But for some reason, the texture of those silly moments from back then still lingers. It's strange to be sitting on a bench in the park, gazing at an orange tree, and remembering the stone steps of a shrine in Japan. Let's talk about something you might not like. It was around the time we had just started high school. Yes, it was when you first got a girlfriend. When I brought up the topic, you tried to hide your embarrassment, but it was clear you were excited. You lamented about not getting a reply to your email from 2 minutes ago, and suddenly started fussing over your appearance. You were so easy to read. When I teased you, you said, "Shut up," but your expression showed you weren't really upset. I feel like I dragged my feet quite a bit before finally getting your girlfriend's name out of you. When you finally said, "We officially started dating," I laughed and replied, "That's great." I thought I was genuinely congratulating you. You looked so happy, so that wasn't a lie. But honestly, I felt a bit strange for a while after that. Now I can put a name to that strange feeling, but back then, I didn't quite understand it. It felt like you, who had always been right next to me, suddenly moved a little further away. It was unsettling to hear someone I didn't know mentioned in your stories as if they were a normal part of your life. I was so childish that it made me sick. I didn't want anyone to see that, so I forced myself to act like everything was normal. I made silly jokes, teased you about your love life, and pretended like it didn't matter. I got dumped by my girlfriend in the winter of my second year of high school. The breath I exhaled was already white, and the sky was getting dark earlier, even though we had talked that day. When you called to ask, "Are you okay?" I knew something was up. When I visited your house, you tried to put on a nonchalant face, but you completely failed. When I asked, "Did something happen with your girlfriend?" you tried to smile but ended up crying like a child. I was shocked. I hadn't seen you cry like that in front of anyone since kindergarten. That was probably the first and last time. At that moment, I was just patting your back and saying the usual comforting phrases. "There will be others," or "She just didn't see your worth." I don't really remember what I said. Maybe it was because I was thinking about something completely different. I felt a bit envious of the girlfriend who was liked enough to make you cry like that. But at the same time, I felt sorry for you, and I wanted to do something to help. Yet, I knew I couldn't take that place, and it made my heart ache. Looking back now, I realize that while I was comforting you, I was also trying to remind myself, I'm just your friend. We're childhood friends. I shouldn't show any more than that. After that, we grew up. The time we used to spend together every day came to an end. And we became busy with school, work, and moving. Our communication decreased. And when we did meet, it became normal for it to be after months apart. We no longer spent hours chatting like we used to. And it became more common to part ways awkwardly. Even though I should have gotten better at filling the gaps in conversation with more social interactions. I think we both started to have things we couldn't say to each other. We could talk about safe topics like work or the economy. But the things we really wanted to ask or share were tucked away deep inside. It's strange, isn't it? Just because we stopped talking for a long time doesn't mean the time we spent together fades away. In fact, it's often after we've been apart that I realize just how much you remain within me. Even when I see new sights here, or have meals with someone. Every time something interesting happens, I find myself thinking, how would they react if I told them this? What kind of face would they make if they were here? I didn't notice this when I was in Japan. It's all things I only understood after being apart. Now, while living in Spain, I think I've become the most honest with myself I've ever been. In this distant country, trying to put down roots in a language I don't know, I'm facing the things I've been ignoring. What do I want to choose? Who do I want to be with? Where do I want to live? And after thinking it all over, I realized I couldn't help but write this letter to you. You might think this is sudden. You might find it bothersome. But I want to be honest because I don't want to hide anymore. I've probably liked you for a long time now. I say probably to be vague at this point, but the truth is much clearer. By the time I realized it, I was already in love with you. Back when we were chasing crayfish. My feelings might have been different. But by the time you got your first girlfriend, it was already too late to turn back. So it's true that I felt happy seeing your joyful face, and it's also true that it hurt. Seeing you cry after being rejected made my heart ache. And I couldn't help but wish those tears were for me. It's pathetic, but I've been pretending to be just friends while carrying all of that. I'm not trying to force anything on you now, so you can rest easy about that. I don't want to trouble you, nor do I want to hold our past friendship hostage. It's just that I can't seem to move forward in life while keeping this to myself. And that's my selfishness. When I thought about deciding where to live here, how to work, and imagined the coming years, it felt lonely not to hear your voice in any of those thoughts. I wanted to convey that. If you have even a slight intention of replying, I'd prefer you come here and say it directly instead of writing a letter. I want to hear your voice, not through a phone or a message. If you want to laugh, that's fine, and if you want to be angry, that's fine too. I just want to meet you and hear it properly. Under the sky of this country. In the colors of the sunset at Reina Square. In the lively cafeteria until midnight. I want to show you this freedom that I've come to love. And I want you to see it just once if possible. I want to see what kind of expression you'll have here. I want to walk beside you like we used to. If that's not the case, if you feel that these feelings shouldn't be received and you have no words to return, then please tear this letter up and throw it away. I know we can't pretend nothing happened, but you don't have to remember it anymore. Just to let you know, I've enclosed a plane ticket. I think it's impulsive of me. Maybe it's the Valencia breeze that got to me. But I'm quite serious about this. No matter what you decide, I'll go to the airport on that day. I don't think I'll be able to say anything clever like before. But I'll make sure to learn some good lines just in case you show up. Under the strong sunlight of Spain. Reminiscing. About. Old. Summer vacations. I wonder what the sky in Japan will be like by the time you read this letter. P.S. The nights here are long. So, there's plenty of time to catch up on everything we've missed.